to it. Cam Newton cut. You're wearing the jersey to support. I love it. Listen, this has been your guy since college, obviously. Yeah. I think we both thought that it was going to be Cam Newton to start the season. I don't think we were alone on that. The majority of everything that I'd seen in the media was that Cam Newton was going to be the starter. Mac Jones had looked great, but he'd only really played with the twos, and as good as he looked, which I'd always said throughout the process, in 3 games, every single game, looking at the rookie quarterbacks of preseason, I came away thinking, okay, the Zach Wilson and Mac Jones are the 2 that look the most crisp. They look like seasoned vets.
And Trevor had an amazing last game.
Trevor looked great in that 3rd game. You're absolutely right. But I just, in general, came away loving Mac Jones and thinking, okay, this is going to work long term. But we still thought it was going to be the Cam Newton team. Things happened. The COVID thing where he missed 5 days, I'm going to bring that up. But before we do, just your raw reactions to the cut and how you felt about this.
It's different to see the narrative shift from Cam Newton is our guy. We are moving in the right direction. He's going to be our starter going forward. To the COVID the little mishap, whatever it was, miscommunication. At the end of the day, I guess it was irresponsibility on Cam Newton's part or his camp for not taking the proper precautions. But even going forward, I did not see a realm where Cam Newton was cut. I saw a realm where he wasn't the starter. That's Mac Jones was playing great. You don't draft a guy in the 1st round if you're not going to at least look for that to be your future. And if you feel that he's ready for your future, then what are you going to do? It was just the way that they handled it. But I'm starting to cope with it. My biggest problem I have with all of it is some of the haters of Cam Newton in general. It just feels like they kind of got their rejoice day, their final one, because it just surprises me that there's so many of them out there. Yeah. I know he's over the top and flamboyant and a good personality, but it's just people just they're discrediting him for so much that he's done, and that infuriates me on that part.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think that does happen with these older quarterbacks that kind of leave their first team. I mean, we forget the Joe Flacco Super Bowl run. We forget the times where the Bengals were a real contender and had some tough losses in the playoffs, but I mean they were really good with Andy Dalton. We forget those things when the quarterbacks become journeymen, backups, and things like that. I think that happens. And Cam Newton, such an out there personality and so divisive in I feel like the media and just fan bases in general. You love him or hate him, and I think we love him. You love him because he's your team and it's always been your guy. But I've never had a problem with his out there personality. I thought it was a fun part of the game and I always enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting. Look, Cam Newton's not making anything, so the cut was not financial. I mean his contract was bare minimum, like
$1.8 million.
Yeah, nothing. So the contract was not a financial move. This, to me, I mean, Bill Belichick makes this move if he feels that Cam Newton is detracting from the team in some way. And that's the part that I do want to unpack here for a second, is how was he, a detriment to the team? And is it you don't want 2 leaders on your football team from the quarterback position? Because I do get that. Cam Newton's not going to stop being a leader. And Mac Jones did show good poise and did seem like he could be a leader, but it's tough when you're the incumbent. Is it that? Or I do want to just throw this out there, the possibility that you look at what Cam Newton is as a quarterback, and if you're thinking, okay, Mac Jones is our future, that is the style of play we want to go back to, that's what we want to do, that's our bread and butter, all of those things, Cam Newton as a backup is going to have to be a completely different play style if Mac Jones were to get hurt. Now, Ryan Hoyer, the lesser quarterback between him and Cam Newton, at least fits that style and can run the offense if there were to be an injury. Was this a purely football move, or in your opinion? I don't really know one or the other. Was this a purely football move, or was this more of a we are worried about the locker room? I guess a locker room move.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say that both of these play a part. I think both of them are viable options as to where Belichick sat down and was like, man, Cam is that alpha dog mentality, and he is a very just intimidating body overall. So it might be hard for Mac Jones to really step up and assert himself and be the leader of this football team. It looked like Cam was doing all the right things, high-fiving him, supporting him, telling him everything. But at the end of the day, if you are going to have an alpha and another alpha, it might butt some heads. It might cause some dissonance in the locker room overall. Maybe some of the team was like, no, this is Cam's football team. No, this is Mac's football team. Okay, well, next thing you know, you're all arguing, you're all fighting about each other, and that's where the play style comes into effect then.
Yeah.
I feel like if Cam were to be able to fit into that mold of that, there's nothing wrong with having an iron sharpens iron thing, but having one that is so much of a different play style than the other, that's where I think both factors is what contributed to them saying, Cam, it was good. good. You were a placeholder. It came to an end a little bit sooner than what we thought we would, but Mac's ready. And Mac looks great. Mac, yeah. I think, that this is a move for the Patriots going forward that's going to benefit them overall. I am not upset when it comes to the Patriots' success. I think they're going to be a very good team. They can bounce back as far as what Mac's able to take them right now. And there's some limiting factors on the team overall. I'm upset just looking at it from a Cam Newton fan that I feel like he's willing to go do whatever the right thing is and do it. And he just, I'm still kind of waiting for him to get a break. But then again, he had a chance last year. Yeah. And there were times where it worked and there were times where it didn't work. So
yeah, I think there's certainly apologists, like as far as like, I can sit here and give you a lot of excuses for Cam and say, hey, that team was not super good. I think there was a reason why Tom Brady wanted to leave. Like there just wasn't a lot of talent around that offense specifically. So there is that aspect for why it wasn't as good as it could have been. But he did also lose 2 games by fumbling the ball. Like that, they could have had 2 extra wins in there.
He tried to play hero ball. He tried to do too much at times. And maybe that's where Bill was like, we're just going a different direction.
Yeah. So, and ultimately, I don't think it really occurred to us last offseason Cam Newton could go to the Patriots because it did, I guess, but it was not like something that I think was highly thought of as a real possibility because it didn't really fit the style. And I think, this move.
It didn't. It was,
it never really did. So I do think this move kind of just reflects that overall arching feeling from even when Cam Newton got the job with the Patriots. It was like, oh, this is going to be interesting. How is this going to work? There was excitement beyond that about that, but there was also that doesn't fit. Like that's the polar opposite of what Brady was.
It just took a weird COVID year, with all these opt-outs, with all these different things. It was like, you know what? Why not get Cam as a cheap placeholder?
Yeah,
with that too?
That's what he was,
and exactly that, and it was pretty apparent to see how quick Bill was ready just to move on and get things going in the other direction.
Yeah, absolutely. So hey, one of those moves the Patriots do all the time. Veteran guys invest very little and move on when you've seen enough. And hey, that's what happened. It'll be interesting to see where Cam Newton goes. I think the Dallas Cowboys as a backup would be interesting. I think he's certainly a upgrade over Cooper Rush, who's going to be the backup for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And he would fit that mold of what a Dak Prescott does. I think to a lesser degree, I think Dak Prescott's a lot better quarterback.
Dak is.
I don't want people to mishear me or hear what I'm not saying. Last thing I want to say on this, and I want to know if this, I don't know. I'm going to postulate this possibility here because we saw Urban Meyer come out and say that the COVID vaccine was a contributing factor in some of his cuts, right? He came out and said that. Very interesting thing. It's a decisive subject. Listen, I'm not a political guy. I'm not going to sit here and have a stance on that because I just don't it's not my place to put on that. So for those listening, have whatever opinion you have on this, but Cam Newton did get COVID last year and did miss 2 weeks, right? So COVID took him out of the season for 2 weeks out of the year. That was obviously a detriment to the football team. And then COVID, he didn't get the shot. He is unvaccinated according to reports that I've seen. And he has the thing with the 5 days where you mentioned it earlier. There was a misunderstanding with whatever it was. It was labeled misunderstanding. Either way, that did happen at the crux because he didn't get vaccinated and didn't want to, which is teach their own. He didn't want to get vaccinated is what it is. And it cost him 5 days. In those 5 days, in those 5 practices that Mac Jones got to be the starter, all reports out of camp was that he killed it. Everything was positive. Everything was great. And I remember watching ESPN, and not really hard watching it, but it was on in the background, and listening to someone talk about how it'll be really interesting to see what happens the next day when Cam Newton's back. Does he go back into the ones or what happens? And, I think he did end up going back into the ones, but that might have been enough for the coaching staff to say, oh, okay, we finally saw him with the ones. Because he didn't play with the ones. This was not really a quarterback competition at its truest sense. At least it wasn't presented that way to us. So, I wonder how much of a factor that had. I wonder, did he lose his job because he didn't get vaccinated in a roundabout way, not in a direct way, but in a roundabout way?
Yeah, I would say in a roundabout way, definitely, just because that lost him the opportunity in those 5 days. That's all it took. Even if Cam wasn't with the ones, even if Cam was just in the building at practice, maybe it's a different version of Mac Jones. But I guess for those 5 days, Mac was probably really loose. He was, no pressure. Let's go out there and do it. Let's flex the arm a little bit. Beautiful deep ball here and there. And then he went out there in that last preseason game and led the team well. So, you got your glimpse of the future and it looked good. So why pull Mac back?
Yeah.
Why be like, bro, that was good, but we're going to make you wait. If a guy's ready to go, let him go. I'm a very big advocate on if a guy's not ready to go, don't criticize him and don't say he's not a good quarterback for it. But if he's ready to go, let him go. And if it needs time, then do. And I think that was one of the reasons why Cam ended up losing his job.